Organizers say more than 7 million people gathered at nearly 3,000 events across the country over the weekend for the so-called No Kings rallies in a largely peaceful show of force against the Trump administration's policies. That is 2 million more people than the first No Kings Day back in June. Protesters flooded streets, squares, and parks in both big cities and small towns, chanting, "No Kings in America," and carrying signs with slogans like "Democracy, not monarchy," and "Make America Good Again." In Boston, organizers say more than 100,000 rallygoers convened at the historic Boston Common, America's oldest park. In Washington, D.C., protesters, including federal employees, filled the streets near the U.S. Capitol as the government remains shut down. In New York City, people stretched for many blocks with rallies spanning across all 5 boroughs. The protests were overwhelmingly peaceful, with many participants wearing costumes, waving American flags, and dancing, despite Republicans in recent days referring to the events as Hate America rallies. That criticism continued yesterday. Here is House Speaker Mike Johnson and President Trump.
The irony of the message is pretty clear for everyone. If President Trump was a king, the government would be open right now. If President Trump was a king, they would not have been able to engage in that free speech exercise out on the mall. Yeah, I've never called anybody an enemy, but we call out...
Hate America rally or, Antifa pro-Hamas, those are enemies.
Well, there were a lot of hateful messages yesterday. I mean, we have video and photos of pretty violent rhetoric, calling out the president, saying fascists must die and all the rest. I mean, I don't think that's loving speech. I don't think that's friendly speech. And I don't think it's pro-American to say those kinds of things. So it's not about the people. It's about the message. It's about the ideology.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Well, again, and here we go on, and there's going to be a feedback loop where you're going to have, of course, 99% of the peaceful marchers who actually were doing exactly what James Madison and Alexander Hamilton wanted Americans to be able to do, and that is to peacefully protest, just like the Tea Partiers protested in 2009. And yeah, I'm sure there were 1 or 2 really heinous signs, about Barack Obama back then. Maybe there were 1 or 2 there. I'm sure there were some bad signs. You have millions and millions of people out there, but yeah, they'll try to clutch onto something. But the sad thing is, I never heard Barack Obama calling Tea Partiers people who hated America simply because they disagreed with his policies. And that's what's so sad and depressing, that for some reason people on the right, whether it's pro-life rallies or whether it's certain religious marches, whether it's Tea Party marches, whether it's small government marches, no president, Democratic president on the left are accusing them of hating America. And a lot of American flags there. Also, a lot of grandmas, as J-Mart said, with NPR tote bags. Not exactly radical groups of people here, but you just a constant stream of hatred and lies from, unfortunately, the speaker and other Republican leaders claiming that all of these people are pro-Hamas and anti-American and they hate America, when actually the facts are much clearer than that. They actually love America. They carry American flags, and they just don't like the direction this country's going right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was not on an airplane at the time. I was at the rally in New York. And I can tell you it was not a Hate America rally. It was a rally to free America from the tyrannical pretensions of Donald Trump. It was full of people of every background, every age, every color, every backstory, every continent of origin, who simply don't wish to be ruled by a tyrant. And there was actually, and I love this about it, there were flags. There were people walking around giving out flags. My kids ended up with 2 little American flags, like lots of people. The flag, I think, was more present than it even was a few months ago, than it has been sometimes in these rallies on the left. I think that's very good. It's important to reclaim the flag. You see flags there in these images you're seeing. And throughout the march on Saturday, there was actually the most patriotic thing of all, which is in people's signs, a commitment to stand up for people you may not even know, strangers who may be different from you, but share a country with you. That's actually the meaning of a country. I don't need to know you to have your back. To have the back of people like you. And it was a kind of bacchanal of humanizing. It was people insisting on standing up for in solidarity with people who may not be like them again and again and again. And it was a solidarity that someone as small-hearted as Donald Trump won't understand. And out of empathy for him, I can understand why it makes him so insecure that so many more people showed up on Saturday than to his inaugurations. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And Ben, the backdrop of this, of course, is all the extreme things that have happened in this country, including we now have a government shutdown. We talked about it earlier today, this brand new AP poll out, President Trump's approval rating, 37%. Other polls have it slightly higher, but that's about where he is, 37, 38, 39. And then we have right track, wrong track, and that's a really telling thing. You know, we're a month from some elections and 13 months from the midterms. So you can see it. Only 30% say right direction, 69% say wrong direction, and it seems like perhaps that's what these marches indicate. He's turned off some of the independents, those folks who maybe went for Biden in 2020, swung back to him in 2024. Those people don't seem very happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's you're right. There's a constituency of people who have been angry for a long time, have been angry, as these polls show, at Democrats when they're in power. And certainly Trump seems to have kind of lost them. You know, Joe was talking about 2009 and the Tea Party. And the huge mistake Democrats made in that moment was to say, this is all paid for by the Koch brothers. It's fake. It doesn't represent any kind of real sentiment. The Koch brothers are paying for the signs. And, you know, they were wrong. They got destroyed in the midterms. And I think there's in some strange way, Trump is kind of rerunning that moment with just, you know, exchange Soros for Coke here.
So my question is, and I'm hoping we can tee up the soundbite with the White House press secretary, but when you look at these protests, and we can put them up, you just wonder the response that these people have to what the White House, the Speaker of the House, the White House press secretary is saying about them, because are they really lunatics, Jonathan Lemire? I mean, if you look at these people, these are people who the data shows and the anecdotal evidence clearly proves are getting to the point where they or their kids cannot afford houses. Is it lunacy to want to be able to afford your health care? Is it lunacy to want your kids to be able to get jobs or to maybe be able to pivot in your own career? And there are no jobs out there. The Republicans have been in charge. Is it really lunacy not to want to see people dragged off the street by men in masks? I mean, it's very invalidating to get out there and to make yourself known for what you want for this country and what you want for the people around you. And to be called a lunatic, I think, actually is handing the Democrats a gift. Yeah. Because they're doing the work for the Democrats. People complain about the Democrats not being effective. Well, Republicans are helping them out.
Yeah, and these were huge crowds. Again, big cities, small towns, from all walks of life. These are real people with real concerns. But yet, this is how they're continuing being portrayed on the right. In an interview on Fox News Thursday, White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt accused the Democratic voting base of being terrorists and violent criminals.
The Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world.
So let's remember, Ben, that it wasn't so many years ago where the Republicans melted down at the word deplorables. And here we are. We have the press secretary at the White House suggesting that the main Democratic constituents are Hamas terrorists.